"All right," said David, closing the door. "And you'll be hearing from us," he added in an undertone, "if I know the Phoenix." Flying at night was colder than flying by day, but it was more thrilling, too. They whistled through an immense blackness. Stars glittered overhead, and quicksilver patches of moonlight and shadow flashed across the clouds below. They were going to Ireland, but why, David did not know. The Phoenix was playing its wait-and-see game again. In an hour or so they shot out over the edge of the cloud mass, and David could see a rocky coast below, dark and cold in the half-light. The Phoenix began to slant down toward it, and presently they landed in a little meadow. One side of the meadow ran down to a bog filled with reeds, and on the other side was a gloomy wood. Everything was dark and indistinct, but David thought he could tell why the Phoenix had called this the Emerald Isle. The grass beneath their feet was the thickest he had ever felt. He touched a boulder and found it furry with moss. With the wood and the reed-choked bog, the whole place would be rich with various greens in the daylight. Just then they saw a little man approaching them from the wood. He was 3 feet tall, dressed all in green, and had a long white beard. When he reached them, he raised his cap politely and said, "Good evening to you." "A fine evening to you, my good Leprechaun," said the Phoenix. "Could you kindly tell us—" "Will you have a cigar?" the Leprechaun interrupted. With a surprised "Thank you very much," the Phoenix took the cigar, bit off the end, and popped it into its beak. The Leprechaun lighted it, and the Phoenix puffed away. "Stick o' gum, lad?" said the Leprechaun to David, holding out a pack. "Why, yes, thank you," said David. He took the stick of gum from the pack, and was immediately sorry for it. The stick was made of wood, and had a small wire spring like a mouse-trap, which snapped down on his finger and made him yelp with pain. At the same instant the Phoenix's cigar exploded, knocking the startled bird backwards into a bush. "Ha, ha, ha!" shouted the Leprechaun, rolling on the ground and holding his sides. "Ha, ha, ha!" In a trice the Phoenix had pounced on the Leprechaun and pinned him to the ground. "Let him up," said David furiously. "I'll punch his head for him." "I think, my boy," said the Phoenix coldly, "that I shall carry the creature up into the clouds and drop him. Or should we take him back with us and hand him over to the scientist?" "Now, don't take offense, your honor," said the Leprechaun. "I thought you'd look at it as kinda comic." "Exceedingly comic," said the Phoenix severely. "I am quite overcome with mirth and merriment. But perhaps I shall let you off lightly if you tell us where the Banshee lives." The Banshee of Mare's Nest Wood?" "The same. Speak." A new light of respect and fear came into the Leprechaun's eyes. "She's a terror, she is. What'll you be wanting?" "None of your business," roared the Phoenix. "Where is she?" The Leprechaun had begun to tremble. "Follow the path yonder through the wood until you reach the cave, your honor." "You're not friends of hers, are you? You'll not be telling on me? I'm really sorry for those jokes, your honor." The Leprechaun's fright was so genuine now that the Phoenix relented and let him go. The little creature dashed off like a rabbit into the bog. "Let that be a lesson to you, my boy," said the Phoenix. "Beware the Leprechaun bearing gifts. But I wonder why the thought of the Banshee frightened him so." They followed the path until they came to the mouth of a cave under a heap of rocks. The Phoenix plunged in, and David nervously followed. The cave turned out to be a long passageway that led, after several turns, into a chamber. From the ceiling of this rocky vault hung an electric light bulb, which glared feebly through drifts of smoke. All around the walls were wooden boxes stacked up to make shelves and cupboards. These were filled with an astonishing array of objects: bottles, vials, alembics, retorts, test tubes, decanters, cages, boxes, jars, pots, skulls, books, snakeskins, wands, waxen images, pins and needles, locks of hair, crystal balls, playing cards, dice, witch hazel forks, tails of animals, spices, bottles of ink in several colors, clay pipes, a small brass scale, compasses, measuring cups, a piggy bank which squealed off and on in a peevish way, balls of string and ribbons, a pile of magazines called the Warlock Weekly, a broken ukulele, little heaps of powder, colored stones, candle ends, some potted cacti, and an enormous cash register. In the middle of the chamber a little hideous crone in a Mother Hubbard crouched over a saucepan, stirring it with a wooden spoon. The saucepan was resting in the coals of an open fire, and smoke and steam together spread out in a murky, foul-smelling fog. The crone peered at them over the top of her spectacles and cackled. Come in, dearies. I'll be with you as soon as ever I finish this brew." The Phoenix, who had been gazing around the chamber in surprise, said, "My dear Banshee, since when have you taken up witchcraft? This is most unexpected." "Ah, 'tis the Phoenix!" exclaimed the hag, peering at them again. "Well, fancy that now! Och, you may well ask, and I'll be telling you. 'Tis a poor life being a banshee. Long hours, and not so much as sixpence in it for a full night's work, and I got that sick of it. So I changed me trade. Sure, you'll never make a go of it, they told me, and at your age, they says, and once you've got your station in life, they says, there's no changing it. It's in the prime of me life I am, says I, and I'll not be changing me mind for all your cackling, says I, and if certain mouths don't shut up, says I'll cast spells that'll make certain people wish they were dead. That set them back on their heels, you may be sure. Well, 'twas the best decision of me life. The money pours in like sorrows to a widow, and I'll be retiring within the year to live out my days like a proper queen." Then the Banshee caught sight of David and hobbled over to him, peering into his frightened eyes. "Ah, the wee darling," she crooned. "The plump little mannikin. What a broth he'd make, to be sure." She pinched his arm, and he started back in terror. "So firm and plump, to make the mouth water. Sell him to me, Phoenix." "Nonsense," says the Phoenix sharply. "What we desire—" At this instant the contents of the saucepan began to hiss and bubble. "Whoops, dearies, the brew is boiling!" shrieked the Banshee, and she hobbled back to the fire to resume her work. She looked in a recipe book, stirred, clapped her hands, sang hair-raising incantations in a quavery voice, and added a pinch of salt and sulphur. She sprinkled spices from a shaker, waved her wand, popped in a dead toad, and fanned up the fire with an ostrich plume. "Now for the hard part," she said, grinning at them toothlessly. She measured out a spoonful of green powder, weighed it in the scales, and flung it into the saucepan. There was a loud explosion. A huge blast of steam flared out and engulfed them. When it had cleared, they saw the Banshee tilting the saucepan over a small bottle. One ruby drop of fluid fell into the bottle. It darted forth rays of light as it fell, and tinkled like a silver coin rolling down flights of marble steps. The Banshee corked the bottle and held it up proudly to the light. "Will you look at that now?" she crooned. "The finest ever I brewed. Ah, the mystic droplet! Some swain will be buying that now, and putting it in a lassie's cup o' tea, and she'll be pining away for love of him before the day's out." She put the bottle on the shelf, pasted a label on it, and turned to them with a businesslike air. "Now, dearies, what'll you be wanting? Philters? Poison? I've a special today, only 5 shillings a vial. A spell? What about your fortunes? 1 shilling if seen in the crystal ball, 1 and 6 if read from the palm. A hex? I've the finest in 6 counties. A ticket to the Walpurgis night ball?" "We want a wail," said the Phoenix, "and we shall accept nothing but the best and loudest you have." "Ah, a Banshee's wail, is it?" cried the hag. "You've come to the right shop, dearies, to be sure. Now, let me see." She hobbled to a shelf which contained a row of boxes, ran her finger along them, stopped at one, and took it down. "Here we are. Key of C sharp, 2 minutes long, only 5 shillings 3 pence. "No, no," said the Phoenix, "a larger one. We have something more than mice to frighten." "A bigger one? Och, here's a lovely one now, 5 minutes long, ascending scale with a sob at the end. Guaranteed to scare a statue. Yours for 10 and 6. I call that a real bargain now." "Bah!" said the Phoenix impatiently. "Enough of these squeaks. We want a real wail, my dear Banshee. such a wail as never before.